Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Talk Sara English. I'm Sarah, and I'm really happy that you're spending some time with us today.
And I'm Mike. Whether you're relaxing at home, walking outside, sitting on a train, or taking a short break from work, thank you for joining us.
We hope this episode helps you feel calm, comfortable, and a little more confident with your English.
Today, we're talking about something that almost every English learner experiences at some point.
We're talking about being afraid to start a conversation in English.
Maybe you understand English quite well when you listen or read, but when it is time to say the first sentence, you suddenly become nervous.
Your mind becomes very quiet, your heart beats a little faster, and you wonder if you should speak or stay silent.
If that sounds familiar, please know that you are definitely not alone.
Thousands of English learners feel exactly the same way every single day.
And the good news is that this fear can become smaller, little by little, with practice.
During this episode, we will use clear and natural English that is comfortable for B1 to B2 learners.
Our conversation will be relaxed, natural, and full of useful expressions that you can understand without feeling overwhelmed.
Before we begin, we want you to think about one simple question while you listen.
Here is the question. When was the last time you wanted to speak English but decided not to?
Maybe it happened yesterday.
Maybe it happened this morning.
Or maybe it happened a long time ago, but you still remember that feeling.
Don't worry if you don't have an answer immediately. Just keep listening, and perhaps one situation will come into your mind.
Mike, can I ask you something?
Of course.
Have you ever felt nervous before starting a conversation with someone, even in your own language?
Absolutely. I think most people have experienced that feeling.
Really? I think many listeners imagine that confident people never feel nervous.
That is a very common misunderstanding. Confidence does not mean you never feel afraid.
Then what does it mean?
It means you decide to speak even though you feel a little nervous.
I really like that idea.
Fear and confidence can actually exist at the same time.
That is interesting because many learners wait until they feel completely confident before they speak.
But that perfect feeling often never arrives.
So if we wait forever, we may never start.
Exactly.
I remember meeting an English learner at a small cafe a few years ago.
What happened?
She understood almost everything I said in English, but every time she wanted to answer, she stopped herself.
Did she tell you why?
Yes, she smiled and said, "I know the words, but I'm afraid my English will sound strange."
That sentence is probably familiar to many listeners today.
I think so too.
What did you say to her?
I asked her a simple question. When children learn to speak their first language, do they make mistakes?
That's a good question.
She smiled and said, "Of course they do."
And then?
I asked, "Do people laugh at children because they make mistakes while learning?"
Most people don't.
Exactly.
So learning naturally includes making mistakes.
Yes, mistakes are not signs that learning is failing.
They are actually signs that learning is happening.
I think many English learners forget that.
They often believe they need perfect grammar before opening their mouths.
But real conversations don't work like that.
Even native speakers make grammar mistakes sometimes.
They forget words.
They change their sentences halfway through.
They pause to think.
Sometimes they even say, "Sorry, that's not what I meant."
I do that more often than I'd like to admit.
Me too.
So maybe being perfect is not the real goal.
I don't think it is.
Then what should our goal be?
Communication.
That's such an important word.
Communication simply means sharing ideas so another person can understand you.
It doesn't require perfect English.
It requires courage, patience, and practice.
Let's imagine a simple situation.
Okay.
You're visiting another country.
Right.
You walk into a small coffee shop.
I already like this situation.
You want to order a cup of coffee, but suddenly you become nervous.
Your brain starts asking many questions.
What if I pronounce something incorrectly?
What if the cashier doesn't understand me?
What if people behind me are waiting?
What if everyone notices my accent?
Those thoughts appear very quickly.
Sometimes they appear faster than the English words themselves.
Exactly.
But let's slow that moment down.
Instead of thinking about 10 possible problems, focus on one simple sentence.
For example, "Hi, could I have a small coffee, please?"
That sentence is short,
It is polite.
and it communicates exactly what you need.
Most conversations actually begin with simple sentences like that.
They don't begin with difficult grammar or advanced vocabulary.
They begin with greetings,
Questions,
smiles.
and small moments of connection.
I think many learners imagine conversations as big challenges.
But maybe they are really many small moments connected together.
That's a beautiful way to think about it.
Mike, do you know what I think creates the biggest fear?
Tell me.
I think many people imagine the entire conversation before it even starts.
You're right.
Instead of thinking about one sentence, they imagine talking for 10 minutes.
They imagine difficult questions.
They imagine forgetting vocabulary.
They imagine embarrassing silence.
Their imagination becomes much bigger than reality.
Most real conversations are much simpler than the stories we create in our minds.
So maybe we don't need to prepare for every possible situation.
Maybe we only need enough courage to say the first sentence.
Because after the first sentence, the second one usually becomes a little easier.
Then the third one feels even more natural.
Conversation grows one sentence at a time.
And confidence grows in exactly the same way.
I think one of the biggest surprises for English learners is that starting a conversation is often much harder than continuing one.
I agree. Once the first few sentences are finished, many people begin to relax without even noticing it.
It's almost like pushing a bicycle. The first push takes effort, but after that, it begins to move more smoothly.
That's a great comparison. The beginning requires the most courage, but the movement becomes easier little by little.
So let's talk about something practical. How can someone make that first sentence feel less frightening?
One simple idea is to stop trying to sound impressive.
That's interesting. What do you mean by that?
Many learners believe they need advanced vocabulary before speaking. They want every sentence to sound intelligent and perfect.
But real conversations are usually much simpler than that.
Exactly. Imagine you meet a new colleague at work.
Instead of thinking about complicated questions, you could simply say, "Hi, how's your day going?"
Or if you're attending an English class, you might ask, "Is this your first time here?"
Those are natural questions that people ask every day.
And because they're common, people answer them naturally.
Sometimes learners think simple English sounds childish.
But simple English is often the clearest English.
That's true. Even fluent speakers choose simple words when they want to communicate clearly.
Another helpful habit is preparing a few conversation starters before you actually need them.
Like having small tools ready in your pocket.
Exactly.
For example, you can practice saying, "Excuse me, may I ask you something?"
Or, "Hi, I'm Mike. Nice to meet you."
Or even, "What do you think about this place?"
These sentences are not difficult, but they open the door to a conversation.
Once the door's open, the other person usually helps keep the conversation moving.
That's something many learners forget.
They think carrying the entire conversation is their responsibility.
But conversations belong to two people.
Exactly. Both people ask questions.
Both people answer.
Both people sometimes pause to think.
Silence for a second or two is completely normal.
Yet many learners become nervous the moment there is a short pause.
They think they have failed.
But pauses happen in every language.
Sometimes people are simply thinking.
Sometimes they're choosing the right words.
And sometimes they're just enjoying a comfortable moment of silence.
That's a good reminder.
Sarah, can I ask you something?
Of course.
If someone listening today says, I'm afraid people will judge my accent. What would you tell them?
I would first tell them that having an accent is completely normal.
Everyone has an accent.
Exactly. Even native English speakers have different accents depending on where they live.
That's true.
Your accent tells the story of your language journey.
It doesn't mean your English is bad.
In fact, many people find different accents interesting.
They often care much more about understanding you than about hearing perfect pronunciation.
Communication is always more important than sounding exactly like someone else.
I remember talking to a traveler a few months ago.
Really?
Yes, his grammar wasn't perfect and sometimes he searched for words.
But were you able to understand him?
Almost all the time.
Then the conversation was successful.
Exactly.
Did he seem confident?
Not at first.
What changed?
After a few minutes, he realized I was listening patiently instead of judging him.
That must have helped him relax.
It really did. By the end of the conversation, he was smiling much more than when we started.
That shows how powerful a kind listener can be.
And it reminds us that many people actually want conversations to succeed.
They're not waiting for you to make a mistake. They're simply talking with another human being.
I think our imagination often creates a much scarier audience than the real one.
I completely agree. Let's imagine another situation.
All right?
You're attending an international event.
You see someone standing alone with a cup of coffee.
You would like to start a conversation, but you hesitate.
What could you say?
Maybe something simple like, "Hi, is this your first time here?"
That's friendly and easy to answer.
The other person might say yes.
Or no.
Either answer gives you another sentence to continue with.
Exactly. Conversations grow through curiosity.
Asking simple questions shows interest.
And people usually enjoy talking about themselves.
Of course, listening is just as important as speaking.
That's a very important point.
Some learners worry because they think they need to speak all the time.
But good conversations include listening carefully.
When you truly listen, you don't have to invent every sentence. You can respond naturally to what the other person has already said.
That makes the conversation feel much more relaxed.
Another useful habit is accepting that you won't know every word.
That's impossible, even for advanced learners. Exactly.
If you forget a word, don't panic.
Try explaining the idea in another way.
For example, maybe you forget the word umbrella.
You could say, "It's the thing you use when it rains."
The other person will probably understand immediately.
And they might even teach you the missing word.
That becomes a learning opportunity instead of an embarrassing moment.
I like that way of thinking.
Learning happens inside real conversations.
Not only inside textbooks.
Exactly.
Sarah, what do you think is the smallest goal someone can set this week?
I would make it very simple.
Let's hear it.
Start one conversation in English this week.
Just one?
Just one.
That feels much less stressful than saying, "I must become confident immediately."
Exactly. Big goals often create pressure. Small goals create momentum.
Even if the conversation lasts only 1 minute, you've already taken an important step.
Then next week, perhaps you'll start another one. Slowly, your brain begins collecting positive experiences instead of fearful memories.
Confidence isn't something that suddenly appears one morning.
It's something you build through many small conversations.
One greeting.
One question.
One smile.
One moment of courage.
And over time, those small moments become something much bigger.
As we continue our conversation, we want to remind you of something very important. Being afraid to start a conversation in English does not mean you are bad at English.
Not at all. Very often it simply means that you care. You want to communicate well, and because it matters to you, you feel nervous.
That feeling is completely human.
Think about the first day at a new job, the first day at a new school, or the first time meeting new people. Those situations can make anyone feel uncomfortable.
Starting a conversation in another language can feel exactly the same.
The difference is that every conversation gives you experience, and experience slowly replaces fear with confidence.
I'd like to share one more story before we finish today's episode.
I'd love to hear it.
A listener once wrote to us and said, I understand almost every podcast I listen to, but when someone speaks English to me, I freeze.
I think many listeners will recognize that feeling.
She also said that she always planned the perfect sentence in her head.
Let me guess. By the time she finished planning, the conversation had already moved on.
Exactly.
That happens more often than people think.
So we suggested something different.
What was it?
We told her to stop trying to create perfect conversations.
Instead, create real conversations.
Yes, real conversations include pauses.
They include smiles.
They include mistakes.
They include laughter.
And they include learning.
A few weeks later, she sent another message.
She said she had started greeting a colleague in English every morning.
That sounds like a very small step.
It was.
But I have a feeling it became something bigger.
It did. After a while, those greetings became short conversations.
Then those short conversations became friendly chats during lunch.
She told us that the fear hadn't disappeared completely.
But it no longer controlled her.
I think that's an important difference.
Courage doesn't always remove fear.
Sometimes courage simply walks forward with fear.
That's a wonderful way to describe it.
Mike, if our listeners remember only one idea from today's episode, what would you like it to be?
I would say this. Don't measure your success by how perfect your English sounds.
Then how should we measure it?
Measure it by the number of times you were brave enough to start.
I love that.
Every greeting counts.
Every question counts.
Every conversation, no matter how short, is another step forward.
Let's also review a few useful words we used today.
Great idea.
The first word is hesitate.
To hesitate means to pause because you are unsure or nervous.
For example, I hesitated before speaking English.
Another useful word is confident.
Confident means believing in yourself and feeling comfortable with what you are doing.
You don't need to be perfect to become confident.
The next word is encourage.
To encourage someone means to give them hope, support, or confidence.
A kind teacher can encourage students to speak more.
Another useful word is comfortable.
Comfortable means feeling relaxed and at ease.
The more you practice, the more comfortable English conversations become.
We also used the word momentum.
Momentum means progress that becomes easier because you keep moving forward.
Small actions create momentum over time.
Another important word is curiosity.
Curiosity means wanting to learn more or know more about something.
Curiosity helps conversations grow naturally because it encourages questions.
Finally, we talked about communication.
Communication means sharing ideas, thoughts, and feelings so people understand each other.
Remember, communication is always more important than perfection.
Before we finish, we'd like to leave you with one small challenge.
During the next few days, try to start one conversation in English.
It could be with a classmate,
A colleague,
a teacher,
a friend.
or even another English learner online.
Don't worry about having a long conversation.
A simple greeting is enough.
Then, ask one question.
Listen carefully to the answer.
Smile.
And remember that every conversation is practice.
If you make a mistake, that's completely okay.
Mistakes are proof that you're using your English instead of hiding it.
We would also love to hear from you.
In the comments, you can write, I'm your name from your country, and the first conversation I want to start in English is
It can be at work,
at school,
while traveling.
or simply with a friend.
Writing your answer is another way to practice English.
And it's also a promise to yourself.
Thank you so much for spending this time with us today.
We truly hope this conversation helped you feel a little calmer and a little more confident.
Remember, every fluent English speaker was once a beginner.
Every confident speaker once felt nervous.
And every meaningful conversation started with one simple sentence.
Keep speaking, keep learning, and most importantly, keep believing that your English can improve one conversation at a time.
Thank you for listening to Talk Sara English. We hope to spend more relaxing learning time with you again very soon.
Until next time, take care of yourself, enjoy your English journey, and never be afraid to say that very first hello. See you in the next episode of Talk Sara English.